Oh, there's a first. We're getting our time back. I thank the gentleman from Virginia, and I go to the gentlelady from North Carolina for her 5 minutes, Ms. Ross.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and the ranking member for holding this hearing, and thank you to all of our witnesses for testifying today. I am going to focus most of my questions for Mr. Muller because we are bipartisan cheerleaders for North Carolina and our businesses. I also want to thank Mr. Muller for your testimony, your ideas about what Congress can do better, but also for your service to this country, and in particular, at the beginning of your service working for USAID. We know how important foreign relations are. So you told us that Charlotte Pipe has filed multiple claims against Chinese litigants at the International Trade Commission, and that Chinese companies clearly have been dumping products at anti-competitive low prices. I participated with our North Carolina Secretary of State at a North Carolina Chamber event, and it can actually just devastate a small company that doesn't have the resources that you do. How much time and money has your company invested in filing these multiple anti-dumping suits at the ITC?
Well, I mentioned previously in my testimony, it's almost $7 million of our own money. And another way to answer your question, I was hired by Charlotte Pipe and Foundry 23 years ago to run the marketing department, to be the vice president of marketing, which I did for a number of years. But in 2006, I took on a government affairs role and kind of wore two hats at Charlotte Pipe. In the last 5 years, I've been working exclusively on government affairs. So my time and salary has been dedicated to trying to work through these issues, both at the state level and at the federal level. And it continues to occupy. I joke that I shed half my job and I'm twice as busy. So.
And small businesses simply couldn't afford to have that kind of advocacy.
No, and in fact, you know, I also have represented the American Foundry Society. They have 1,000 corporate members, foundries throughout the United States, steel, aluminum, and cast iron. 80% of those foundries are small businesses, 100 people or less. They don't have the resources to fight like we do, and many of them are going out of business. 20 years ago, there were 2,000 foundries in America, and we're down to about 1,700. And these are vital for national security. You can't make tanks or planes or ships without foundries, steel, cast iron, aluminum foundries.
Well, thank you for also those small businesses. Charlotte Pipe discovered that a Chinese manufacturer had stolen your name, trademark, and logo, and was using it to sell unaffiliated products in East Asia. Since then, you filed trademark infringement claims in both China and Singapore. Can you tell us the status of those claims?
Yes, thank you for that question. I did testify on the Senate side before Senator Tillis in his intellectual property subcommittee on this topic. We only discovered by accident that China had stolen our brand identity and was going to market in Southeast Asia as Charlotte Pipe and Foundry. There's a building in Shanghai with our logo on the side. And a gentleman was passing out Charlotte Pipe business cards at a trade show in Singapore. That's how we discovered the theft. We filed to get our IP back in Singapore. We lost, but then won on appeal. We also had to hire a Chinese law firm at great expense to fight for our IP to get it back in China. And that is stalled in the courts of Beijing. No decision has been made, but the case has basically gone cold. We can't get any information from the Chinese government, from our Chinese law firm as to the status of that case. And so we know they're still going to market on Chinese websites. You can still see that they're going to market as Charlotte Pipe.
Yeah, and just to, not to be too repetitive, but when I went to this North Carolina Chamber event, they brought in two small businesses that have experienced similar kinds of appropriation of their intellectual property. And those small businesses simply do not have anybody who can stand up for them. So they either have to move on or they have to, find some other way. And so I want to thank you for suggesting some very concrete bipartisan steps we can take to help right these wrongs. Thank you for your testimony. I yield back.
I thank the gentlelady. We now go to the gentleman from California.